Hi there. In this video, I'm gonna emphasize a few things about your first SPSS assignment, which I'll call it portfolio. Okay, portfolio. So I'm gonna review some aspects that I explained in the SPSS training videos, and then particularly what you need to do and remind yourself of to complete the questions in this assignment. Even before jumping in actual portfolio questions or aspects, I like to emphasize two things. Okay, two things. First, you have to use the Word file that I gave you when you work on the questions. Okay, do not just look at the questions from the Word file and then make your answers on Google Doc. Okay, do not do this. I'll not accept that kind of submission. So you have to download the Word file and then open it up and then fill in your answers there on that file. Okay, then this kind of the question file, Microsoft Word format, and then the space here will fill in with your answers, right? You plug in some answers and numbers, and here you plug in and attach a table and a graph somewhere. So the file will get longer a little bit, right? Longer the pages, and then you now have like several pages at the end. Okay, submit that file as your portfolio number 1 assignment. Okay, again, if you just look at the question and then enter your answers to Google Doc and save it as Microsoft Word format and then submit it, I'll not accept that submission. Okay, that is because here, look, do you see the small numbers here in the bracket? Here, look, this 4, 6, and 12, like 8, 10. These are specific scores on that question. Okay, I have to say it. Anyhow, you have to work on directly on that file and then submit it. This is the most common mistakes so far I've seen. So don't just keep that in your mind. Second, do not use that training SPSS file you got through the previous training videos. So I gave you already, right, the training file, and then you open it up, and then you follow the video lessons, and then I believe all the results and then everything you've seen from the training video the same, right? When you actually got through the steps and then the all training videos. Now I gave you your own data file, which is different from that training file. Okay? I chose some number of participants from that big training file and then made each of you have different data files. So here, your classmates have different files that you have from your file. So each of you have your own one data file which is different each other from other classmates. Okay? You have to work on these questions using that data file. So you have to rerun the analysis you've learned through the training, and then you can now have some answers there using that using that data file you received with this question file from me. Okay? Again, be clear, you have to work on that file, not training file. The file you newly received with this question file of portfolio. Okay? run the analysis, exactly the same thing, but with slightly different variables I asked you to analyze. So use your own data file you received from me together with this question file. You have to analyze that data, and then you can submit your answer. Okay? If you submit your answers with your training file, I have to ask you do it again for this SPSS assignment. It is not acceptable because it is done in the training session, right? So you have to work on the data file by yourself, right? Obviously having everything in your mind, just analyze the new data file, okay? Now, last one, be clear, small detail here, okay? Like even I gave you the hint. Look, here you have to do something and then I gave you the hint. Or I gave you the note here like this. Note, right? Note, like that. So sometimes many students just ignore small hint or note and then just keep going. You will lose some points because of that. So be clear 100% here what you have to do, and then follow those directions precisely. Okay, that's the best way for you to increase the possibility you have a higher score here. Okay, and then that will obviously directly relate your training, right? You now have skills trained, and then now you have to use those skills to find these answers, right? That is the whole nature of this assignment. So the due date is next Wednesday. So now you just see. First, I ask you to analyze the age and income variables as we've done in the training session, using frequencies. So read these through. What you have to do, actually, that is the same that we've done in the training, okay, video. Now, you have to find out how many whole number of participants, total number of participants is included in your data set. You can find the number from that table, one of the tables that you've got in the SPSS output file. And then what is the cumulative percentage? Be clear about that, italicized, or here, look, like this boldface, right? Boldface font. You have to be clear about that, what you're being asked, right? Now, this question, what is the shape of the distribution of the income variable? So I asked you to do, right, to think about two things here. One, yeah, you can look at the graph and then it is relatively very clear. It is certain kind of shape, right? Now, I'm not interested in that because that's almost too much clearer, right? Everybody can get it. Just looking at the graph and then answer. On top of that first reason, what is the second reason here? If you're asked to show two reasons why you determined, this is the shape of that, right? Where are the other reasons? Just other than just looking at the graph. I gave you the hint. Think about the relative magnitude of the measures of central tendency. Particularly, right? Mean, median, mode. You just compare what is the larger or largest and then what is in the middle, like that. So largest value and in the middle, that is critical point. You can find these two values and then compare, and then this is another reason. So this is what I want. The other reason that you can say, oh, this is this kind of value, a shape of distribution, symmetric or or positively or negatively skewed, right? You have to show that one, okay? Um, not just not mentioning, look at the graph and this is this, right? Don't do that. Now, this question, you have to attach the table that you refer to some values to get the IQR, interquartile range. If you're now unclear what that interquartile range means and then how you are gonna get, so you have to go back to the module 3 and then review that concept, and then relatively very simple, right? How did you get the IQR? So go there and then review. And you have to show, look, you have to show, look at this, show how you got the IQR value by writing down simple equation. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to module 3 and then review the IQR and then get the idea. It's relatively simple and short, right? And then get that idea here, come back, and then use that idea to get the value, IQR, okay? And then you have to attach the table and then equation here with your final answer of IQR value, okay? Now, here, compare standard deviation of the variables of these two. Employee address. It is italicized, meaning these are variables included in the data file. So you probably even remember, oh, that's the number of years they stayed with that employer, or number of years they stayed in that address, like that. So you just getting those standard deviation. How you gonna get? Yeah, this frequency, this analysis, right? You've got those measures of central tendency and measures of variability. So here you need to get the standard deviations of these two variables, do the same thing about these two variables, and compare the size of the standard deviation. And then if one standard deviation is bigger than the other, what does that mean? So again, you have to remind yourself of the meaning of the standard deviation, right? So you just go and then review it again, and then interpret that standard deviation value's meaning here by comparing two variables. So if one variable standard deviation is bigger than the other, wait, what does that mean? Now, do the same thing here, frequency analysis with debt INC. So it's a debt to income ratio, I believe. So do the same thing and then following these questions and then find the answer. Here you have to get the IQR again and then checking the shape of distribution, not only looking at the graph, but also what? That's what is being asked here in the smaller question A. And then where are some potential outliers? Is it then skewed distribution? And then where is possibly you can find an outlier? That is a question, okay? So again, think about the previous concept we discussed in module number 3. Now, the last question. Do the frequencies analysis for the education variable, right? We tried in the training video and then find the frequency distribution table and then graph, right? Do the same thing on your own data file right now and then using the same idea. You're gonna draw a graph here particularly, and then you now, based on the frequency distribution table, look at this, how much percentage of employees of the company graduated from high school or less. Look at this. Here, this is a key term. I gave you the bold face font. What does this mean? Graduated from high school or less, where can you get that percentage of it? Think about it. What I'm asking here, you have to use your critical thinking, because I'm not going to give you any more idea. But here, what kind of percentage you should look at from the table? If you need to get graduated from high school, that's one category, but it's not asking only one category of it. If it is, it's too simple question. But graduated from high school or less. So you have to include, isn't it? Include some. So then where you can get that percentage. You don't need to calculate anything. You can look at one column and then that shows you the percentage, right? What is that? That's the key question here, right? That's the question. Now, attach the graph you draw. You just copy and paste here, and then you can resize easily. It is a picture kind of image kind of source, so you can resize that easily. Now, is that graph is bar graph or histogram? What did you draw? What did you draw? Right? It should be following the idea. If it is certain levels of measurement scale, nominal, ordinal, right, and scale variable in the SPSS, and then you have to choose correctly. Should it be bar graph or histogram based on that idea? Levels of measurement, right? Be accurate about that, and then you can find the right answer easily, right? So this is it, and keep the highlights that I made at the beginning of this video, and then in your mind, and then complete this portfolio. Okay? If you have any question, email me and then ask me, or set up an appointment with you and then discuss things which may be unclear for you. Okay? Good luck. See you.